The West Virginia Mountaineers lost their third straight game in a row tonight, but in my opinion, it had a lot to do with the refs. I want to bitch about it on this episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia. This will be the last night that I have this internet service, no matter what happens coming up. I've given them enough chances. It's taken me over an hour almost to get online here because obviously I had to unplug from the router, go hardwire into the laptop, and it took it as long as you see now to actually register the internet again. So I'm just done with these people. So apologies for the wait that you guys. Thank you, Ravens, and all these people, Dylan, Sean, Stanley, for waiting. Those of you listening on podcast, don't want to forget you either. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate Fester, Pick Six Pack, everybody that's in here. Normally I don't address the chat, but man, I feel like you guys have been waiting a long time, and I just appreciate it. So let's dive into this really quick. On this episode of Locked On West Virginia, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Houston game. ESPN made a prediction about who the starting quarterback was going to be. Thought that was interesting. And then I'm going to go through an article that kind of ranks our opponents from Ear Sports. See if I agree with that. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Of course, FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, so let me get the game pulled up here. I haven't had a chance to do that quite yet because of the internet situation. Let's see, West Virginia versus Houston. Okay. Score. I guess I have to type score for it to pull up the right game, pull up the football game. That'll let you know. It pulled up the football game again. Okay, let's put basketball. Good Lord. Football is so much more heavily searched. And all right, so 63-49. It was a lot closer than that in the second half at times. Field goal percentage, West Virginia was at 46.5, which is decent. Houston was at 48.1. That second half drop off for them. Once again, we fell 6 below our season average on three-pointers. We shot 22% from the field from three. Houston was only at 38%, but they made 7. They were 6 of 6 from the line. We were 5 of 11. So we were given more free throws, but it was the rebounds, obviously. Total rebounds, 34-19. Offensive rebounds were huge. They had a bunch of second chance buckets for kick out threes, different things like that. Defensive rebounds, we were outdone by 7. We had more assists, 1 less block, 1 more steal, 2 less turnovers, and 2 less fouls overall. But it was just, it was the timing of certain things. It was the goaltending call, which was absolutely horrible. It was a couple of the non-calls that were really, really bad. When we were going to the rack, our guys were getting absolutely splattered. And I mean hardcore splattered. It wasn't like they were fouls. They were absolutely fouls. And they didn't, I feel like some of those didn't get called. The back-to-back calls on Sincere Harris changed the game totally. We were making a run. We were within 7 or 5 at that point in time. Sincere Harris was dominating them as they tried to get up the floor, throwing them out of the rhythm. And Kelvin Sampson's like a chicken barking in the referee's ear, and boom, there comes the foul call on Sincere Harris. 2 plays later, boom, another foul on Sincere Harris. Fouls number 3, foul number 4. Took him completely out of the game. Took us completely out of the game. The strategy that was winning us the game, which was pressing them up the floor, making them play late into the shot clock, that goes away. And we lose another game, our 3rd in a row. It sucks. I thought we were going to make a comeback the way the momentum was, but, I feel like, we got in our own way too. It's not just the referees. I'm not saying it's all the referees, but I'm framing it around that. The referees played a part, right? They're one part of an overall arching thing. we keep getting off to these slow starts. I'm sure Darren DeVries has probably been, driving him nuts, right? Trying to figure out these slow starts because this team runs offense well sometimes, it's to the point to where I don't know what the secret sauce is, if it's the crowd noise or what, but obviously ever since this team got sick, I've said this a couple times, ever since this team got sick, things have been bad. They haven't been in a flow. They haven't been in a rhythm. Tonight, everybody got banged up. I mean, it's going to be rough going here the next few games for these guys. And we're at a turning point in our season. We truly are. Coming up, let's look at the schedule here. So coming up, West Virginia has obviously easier games ahead. The next few games, West Virginia should win on paper. Cincinnati probably could be a loss on the road. TCU could be a loss on the road. Absolutely. You should be better than these teams, but how we've been playing, I wouldn't say so. Utah, BYU at home should be wins. Baylor is a toss-up at this point. Cincinnati at home should be a win. Texas Tech's really hot, so that's probably a loss on the road at this point. TCU comes home. Let's reevaluate here. So now this team is 13-8. I think we get the win against Cincinnati on February 2nd. I just do. I'm not going to believe this team's ready to tank. So that puts you to 14-8. TCU, I think that's a win on the road. 15-8. Utah 16-8. BYU should be 17-8. Baylor, I think, was a loss. That'll be 17-9. Texas Tech will be 17-10. TCU should be 18-10. BYU 19-10. There should be no problem. This team should still get to 20 wins, guys. I really do believe that. As long as nobody's hurt long-term, especially Javon or Amani or Sincere or anybody like that, which really just nobody left that we can afford to be hurt. I still think will be a tough matchup in the tournament for people because of how we play, especially in a one-game setting at a time where we don't have to worry about the next game as much for because you'll get some rest in between most games. But yeah, this is a tough one, man. I was complaining to the Locked On Cougars host, and he didn't really want to hear it, but I certainly was super upset with some of those calls in the first half. I thought we didn't deserve them, especially Sampson bought himself a call right when we were making that big run. He was throwing his water bottle down, sitting on the sidelines like this, all puffed up. Like, get a grip, man. Get a grip. Anyway, frustrating loss tonight, guys. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it other than we're at a turning point in the season, like I said. I think this team could go win the next 4 in a row. I think they absolutely could, and we'll be singing their praises again in a few weeks. And they could go one on, one off, but they need to get a win. That's the major thing. Like, this team just needs to win a game and get that reset button hit so they can feel good about themselves. And hopefully nobody's injured because a lot of guys got banged up today. Sincere got his hand. Obviously, Javon hurt his knee. Toby was getting folded up on different stuff. It was a pretty physical game. Houston plays no games, no doubt about it. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, ESPN predicted a starting quarterback for West Virginia. You'll be interested to see who that is. And let's go through the schedule next year and see, do we agree with Ear Sports on the 10 ranked games from 10 to 1? Let's talk about that too. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from the kickoff to the final whistle. Live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing how that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win 200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl. That's the icing on the cake. Download the app right now. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Just bet $5. If you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed. That's at FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. As we move into segment 2, let's crack a very sad do as we think a little bit more about the game that West Virginia just lost. Let's continue to support these guys. I love this team still. I love the toughness and makeup. I think at times they look so good. They're so fun to watch at times, mostly like the first 20 games of the year. And, it's been rough. So I think this team will snap out of this at some point. I think the last 5 or 6 games, this team will go on a run. This is my prediction. I think this last 5 to 6 games, this team will go on a run. I think they'll have a few games coming up where they can rest a little bit more. They'll get a couple wins. They'll get their confidence back. And I think this team will be humming going into Big 12 tournament play. That's my prediction. I do believe this still. I know we've lost 3 straight. I'm not giving up. I believe in Darren DeBree's coaching. He outcoached Kelvin Sampson in the second half. It was pretty clear to see. And the referees influenced the outcome of this game. Take it how you want. The goaltend, the 2 fouls against Sincere, the no calls at the basket that we had. You saw it. We had so many guys getting splattered at the rim over and over again. Am I crazy? Somebody tell me if I'm crazy, because I know I'm not just being biased here. Like I was trying to tell myself, like, don't be the typical fan that, everybody thinks their team has a bad call. I really thought these were bad calls. So, and here's the thing, the stuff with Sincere could be a call on any given play, just like he said on the broadcast. It's funny. I'm in a group chat, and I typed out, Sampson just got himself a call. The announcer said it like 5-6 seconds later. It was obvious he was barking at the ref and that he gave him the call. Like, it was very obvious. So, and it happens, and I know that coaches get those liberties, but it hurt us. I don't care about the liberties they want or the respect that they get. He's no Bob Huggins. That's for dang sure. I would have loved to seen him go home puffed up and mad today. But anyway, we digress. They definitely stopped our momentum. The goaltends, like I said, the no calls at the rim, the fouls, I think they played a huge part in this loss. That goaltend was a horrible call. Horrible call. The ball wasn't even on the trajectory down at all yet. It was literally still going up, if not flattening out just a tad. But, it was not a goaltend. Horrible call. Just add another thing. It all adds up. That's the thing. A referee can influence the outcome of a game very discreetly over the course of the game. One bad call here, one bad call there, one impartial call here, one impartial call there. And it happens. It's something that people don't like to talk about, but there are referees, they're going to favor certain teams. Everybody's human. And whether it's his daughter went to Houston or whatever, I'm not saying it happened in this specific game, but I do believe it happens. People are human. ESPN made a prediction, and I was not shocked to see that they predicted Nico Markiel to win the starting job. And then they said Henderson and Brown could push him for playing time. But I found that to be interesting that even ESPN is predicting Nico to possibly win this job. So I thought, you know what? This will give me a chance to go through with Nico in mind as the starter and look at the ranking how's the article? Ranking WVU's 2025 football opponents. It looks like it's from 12 to 1 here. So I'm going to go through these and see if I disagree or agree with the order. Also, like I told you guys earlier in the beginning of this internet provider is done. I'm done with them. I'm over with. I don't care that they're not making me pay it anymore at all. It's not, what am I paying for? Or what am I not paying for? Nothing. It's horrible. So it's ruining my life in a lot of ways because I like to record in the evenings like this. It's a big part of what I do for you guys. So I will have it fixed. So I'm sorry if it's I know I've lost a couple people over it. So it means a lot to me not to lose people, even one. So I'm going to do what I can, even if it has Starlink and I got to pay $500, whatever. I got to do it. I have to at least have 15 or 20 megabytes upload per second, not 3, 2, 1, what I've been getting. So, it's just recording in the mornings is not conducive with my schedule at all. So anyway, back on track here. West Virginia Mountaineers, let's assume they start with Nico Markiel at quarterback. Does it influence the rankings that I'm going to read here from Ear Sports? They wrote an article on the 28th yesterday and ranked West Virginia's 2025 schedule before it's fully released 12-1. It's a great idea for a video, actually. I wish I'd have thought of it. And I still may do it because I don't know. I mean, after it comes out, obviously I'll do something on this. But so from 12-1, they have number 12, Robert Morris. No surprise here, the FCS program is going to be at the bottom of the list no matter what, even when West Virginia has been faces legitimate national title contenders at the FCS level. That will be the easiest game on the schedule, and the Colonials are no JMU. When JMU was the FCS, they were a middling FCS program last year and will be battling to be so again this fall. Yeah, I disagree with that as far as if it was like North Dakota State or one of those squads. Sam Houston, when they were in there, I think those you can make a case those guys are like group of 5 good. But, yeah, generally speaking, that's totally right. At number 11, this is the first one I disagree with. Ohio, the Bobcats, who've been really good over the last 3 years. They've won double-digit games. I think they won 10 or 11 games last year, this year or last year. And they've got a sneaky good home field advantage. I've been to their stadium several times. I used to watch a lot of MAC football when I was growing up in the early to mid in the mid to late 90s. I used to go to Marshall games a lot because they were close to where I lived. And so sometimes we would go up to watch Marshall versus Ohio Bobcats because they were such big rivals at the time. They were that's like their pit, Ohio Bobcats. So, I used to go up there to watch that game every now and then just because it was a good game. It was a fun game to watch. And Ohio, they don't have a big stadium. It's not even Jones C. Edwards size where they've got like 40,000 or whatever it is there, which is Marshall Stadium's pretty loud actually. But Ohio's is less. It's like 25,000. But it's one of those it's great. It's almost like one of those real big Texas high school stadiums. It's 25,000 people in that stadium, but it gets loud. I think it's called Peden Stadium or something like that. But man, it's such a cool venue. And like I said, especially on the home side, it's the craziest looking college FBS stadium I've ever seen, because you've got one side that's all home. That's probably about 15,000 seats. Then you got like maybe 1,000 on the other side. That's away. And that's it. There's nothing connecting it anywhere else. It's a very odd looking stadium, but man, they win a lot of games there. And I don't know what they have coming back. I'm basing it off the last couple of years, but I can see them being better than the next team on the list. Maybe Houston, number 10, which honestly, I could see them being even worse. I don't know. Maybe, everybody thinks Fritz will get them boys rolling. Maybe they will. I'm not saying they won't. But for now, until we know more about Houston and what they've got coming back, I'm going to put them at 11 and Ohio at 10 for now. But just based off the last few years of success. At number 9, UCF is what they have here. I'm going to disagree again. I'm going to put Utah in the 9 spot. Only because of how bad they were this year. And I just have to, I guess I'll go Utah there for now. I'm basing it off of this past year, and I don't know everything about. See, this would take a lot of research to know everybody's incoming stuff, but I know some, So I'm going to go Utah at 9, which is kind of fun anyway. Then I'm going to go UCF at 8 instead of 9. And then I'm going to put Colorado at 7 instead of 8 like they have here. Just a little bit different, jumbled up. I think Colorado's got the potential to be much better. I agree also with Pitt being at number 6 here. I think, although they lost 6-1 down the stretch, let's talk about this game a little bit, man, against the Panthers right after the break on Locked On West Virginia. Stick around for the Backyard Brawl breakdown really quick. You caught me. You caught me drinking a dew. So no read on this one. So Pitt in the 6th spot. I like it there. I like them there. You know, it's I like because they lost 6. They were 6-1 down the stretch last year. They bring back Eli Holstein. They've added some really good pieces on the offensive line. That's just really scary. They just brought in a guy from Michigan, I think, or Notre Dame, one of the two, that had a lot of starts, 40 plus. And both of those offensive line were like among the very best in football last year. And this was a starter. So, you know, that's a big piece for them. Obviously, Desmond Reed is scary as a weapon. I think teams figured him out a little bit. And I think we have a better defense to deal with him coming up this year. But overall, I think Pitt's going to be bad next year. And I hope they're going to be bad. But I really do, based on everything I've seen. I don't see the improvement. They've got Texas Tech at number 5 here. I don't agree with that at all. I don't see how they're 5 with what they're doing in the portal. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be good. I get it. Teams do well in the portal every year and end up being bad, but they're number 1 in the country. It's not like they're number 1 in the Big 12. They got the best portal class by a country mile in the portal. So I've got Texas Tech higher than at 5. TCU, they have at number 4. I can live with that. But I'm going to swap Kansas and TCU at 3 and 4. So I'm going to have Kansas at 4, and I'm going to put Texas Tech at 3 and TCU at 5. So instead of Texas Tech at 5, I've got TCU at 5. Instead of Kansas at 3, let me see what I do. Instead of Texas Tech at 5, I've got them at 3. TCU is at 5, and Kansas is at 4. So, you know, I think Texas Tech is going to make a big jump this year. I really do. I think with what they've done in the portal, McGuire hasn't won a lot yet, but they've got everything riding and coming back. They got the quarterback coming back again for another year that's been really good in Baron Morton. They've got a bunch of talent retained. They've been able to actually work on that defense. I think the Red Raiders are going to be scary good, and they've got the potential to do like a TCU or what an Iowa State did. So watch out for them. You know, Kansas, they're in that same vein. I think they're rung below Texas Tech, but I certainly do think they're scary as well. All these teams have done more than us in the portal, in my opinion. But I don't think they've got as many quality players as we have. They may have higher ranking players at the top, but I don't think they've got the quality all the way down as we do. That's my opinion, but I've obviously biased and have followed ours a lot closer. BYU at number 2 feels right, and Arizona State feels right at 1. I mean, you lose Scatabo, but everybody else is pretty well back. They brought in a 5-star receiver I remember seeing, and just a bunch of different stuff. So it's going to be interesting, man, this year in the Big 12. I think the Big 12's got a chance to be a lot better than teams, conferences are giving us credit for. You see Kansas, Texas Tech, others doing extremely well in the portal from a national ranking standpoint. And I would love to see the Big 12 do so good to get enough to get in the playoff this year. But we shall see. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. It's getting late. Mountaineers lost, which sucks, but I guess we'll come back and swing at it next time. I will preview the next game. I'm going to start following the women's now that we're getting down closer. I've watched all their games, but I haven't been covering it as much because I gauged the interest with a couple videos, didn't do so well. So now that they're ranked and doing really good, I'm going to start covering them more as the season winds down and it starts to really ramp up towards the tournaments. So be looking for that. And obviously there'll be football too. Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for joining. Have a great evening. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. And don't forget to make Locked On Big 12 your next listen, guys. Drake Toll leads the conversation in Big 12 realignment. He pulls no punches when it comes to talking about the Big 12. Check him out. He's crushing it as always, and I'll see you on the next one. This one's over, and I'm out.